So the president has called on the top 17 pharmaceutical companies in the United States to lower drug prices. And that combined with him saying recently as well that he can foresee tariffs placed on pharma of up to 250%. So if a pharmaceutical company is importing drugs from outside the US, at some point over the next year, year and a half, as the president says, they may be paying a 250% tariff on that drug. And but he says now that he wants to see these pharmaceutical companies bring down the price of their drugs. And as we can put up, there's a letter to an example of a letter. There it is to Albert Bourla, the CEO of Pfizer. And in there, you can see what he talks about. He actually points out four different things. He calls it the most favored nation pricing. So what that means is he wants to see President Trump wants to see the pharmaceutical companies bring down their prices to match what other countries have as pricing. So he talked about recently Europe, that Europe pays a tenth of this of pricing that the US residents pay, just a tenth for the same drug. And he wants to see the drug companies bring down the pricing to match the lowest pricing that exists in any country around the world. So he wants us to have that most favorite nation pricing, or he wants the US to have that most favorite nation pricing. He wants to guarantee pricing for newly launched drugs as well. And this is tough because we know that it takes approximately $1 to $2 billion, that's with a B, $billion, to bring drugs to market. You're going to have a lot of failures. You're going to have a lot of drugs that come to market. And we know that there's been a 60% increase in drugs coming to market over the last little while. And that's fantastic. That's incredible. You know, the number used to be a lot lower than that. But you can imagine the cost of producing these drugs and how many people they're going to help, how much the research and development is helping with these, helping people, helping create these drugs for the people. And if you can't charge what you would like to charge as a pharmaceutical company, you can't help but to believe that that's going to affect the research and development, the R&D of a company. They're not going to be so quick to continue to spend dollar after dollar to try and come up with these new drugs. We also have here the increase in revenues that these drug companies have overseas. He wants to see that brought back to the U.S. and help U.S. Patients here, in the United States. And that's going to be difficult as well. It's hard to see drug companies bringing back their profitability to the U.S. These companies need to take their profits and use them to increase business, to, as I said, increase R&D. So difficult for companies to need to or have to do that sort of thing. He also wants to, the President of the United States wants to, President Trump wants to get rid of or eliminate the middleman. He wants to see drug companies sell direct to the consumer. And there's been a lot of talk that it's the middleman, the companies that are in the middle that regulate the pricing of the drugs. They're taking a big cut, and that's what's causing a lot of these drugs to be expensive in the US. So he wants to see the elimination of using these companies. And so that would hopefully bring down the cost as well. Well, once again, we know that that is difficult. That is difficult for the pharmaceutical companies. And when this announcement about the 17 letters that went out, this one being an example to Pfizer, we saw the market fall, right? We saw pharmaceuticals companies all around the world fall, especially in the US, due to tariffs, due to tariff talk, and also this call for a reduction in price. So we'll have to see how things play out. I know that the talk has been this type of talk has happened before, but it didn't really lead to much. But once again, the president has brought it up, and he says that tariffs on the pharma sector and drugs will follow. They'll start off small, but will increase over the next year and a half to as high as 250%. So I guess if you're looking at owning a pharmaceutical stock, you're going to have to do your homework, find out which pharma companies do business, much of their business in the US, that hopefully the tariffs will not affect them. And we'll have to see which pharma companies are going to see the biggest decreases in some of their drugs. So pharmaceuticals, they've been very volatile in the last few days. And this is why, because of the geopolitical speak and the tariff wars and what's coming out of the Trump administration, definitely causing some anxiety for these pharmaceutical companies.